Everybody, and welcome back to On the Roof. And today we have with us a lovely guest, McClean. Hello, Maya.
Hi, how are you?
Pleasure to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you
Do
too.
I have the name right?
Yes, Maya.
Takes me a while. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway,
Yep.
so listen, it's an absolute pleasure to meet you. You're a fascinating life, unbelievable. You grew up in Australia?
I grew up in Australia, and well, my dad's from Trinidad, so he moved there and met my mum. So I've got half Caribbean, half Australian.
Okay.
And I was born in Sydney and then grew up in a town called Byron Bay. It's really kind of like New Age, yoga, kind of surfy town. Lots of musicians and artists and stuff like that.
Little kid, and you knew that dance is what you wanted to do.
Well, I think the first inkling of being an entertainer was I used to listen to Mariah Carey and Whitney Houston and Michael Jackson on the radio, and I'm like, I want to go where they're going, because I used to love singing to their songs and stuff like that. And then that was the instigator of me wanting to move to America. So I knew that I wanted to move here when I was 7 years old, but I just didn't know what America was.
So how did that happen? How did you finally?
Well, I did a lot of work when I moved back to Sydney. I moved there when I was 14, and then I started to get into more of the performing arts, and actually I ended up meeting Michael Jackson because he came to visit, and that was my first dream. So just to
How did you do that?
My mum, the way she brought me and my sister up was, just follow your dreams, darling. Don't worry about anything else. Just do what you love. That's it. No structure, nothing like that. So hilarious. So we said, well, we want to dance for Michael Jackson. And she goes, well, I guess you better move to Sydney then, because that's where his tour's going to be. We said, okay. So we moved there when we were 14. Wow. And we lived with like a 26-year-old god brother that was there. So we were 14-year-old living by ourselves. Wow. And then we started training as dancers, and we heard that Michael Jackson came. And so we ended up hanging out at the hotel, and Mum ended up coming down for that. And then we ended up seeing one of his security guards that we'd seen like on a, what do you call it? Like in newspapers and stuff like that. Right. And then we said, Mum, that's Michael Jackson's security guard, go and talk to him. So we pushed her over because we were really shy. And then she connected with him. He connected us with Michael Jackson's advisor. And then we went up to the hotel room to meet him. And he got us tickets to his concert show. And then also his premiere, and invited us to go to that because he had a music video premiere.
And you're 14 years old?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was 16 by that stage.
Wow,
yeah.
That's impressive.
So it kind of took us, from the time to move to Sydney, it kind of took us 2 years to manifest Michael Jackson into our lives.
Just meeting a star of that magnitude have on a girl that age.
He was, I was just surprised at his way of being. He was just really beautiful, like loving energy and really soft, and just being really generous. Like he had a whole bunch of kids that had been at the movie theatres, all the kids that he has performing with him on the stage, like he does the Heal the World thing, and he gets kids from certain towns, like performing arts kids. Anyway, they were, we went to this premiere, and they got kind of crushed in the crowd once the premiere ended, and so he wanted to do something nice for the kids to, apologise for them getting kind of mobbed by fans, and he invited all these little kids up to his hotel room and had like ice cream and M&Ms, and they're all having food fights and stuff like that. Wow. And then the kids were in there, and they started going through his wardrobe, and he ended up just giving out like hats, like his rhinestone gloves, jackets. We all got jackets. Me and my sister, my younger sister Nina, was there too. Yeah, so we all got Michael Jackson jackets, and he just gave it all away. Right. Just really generous, really beautiful.
But there's stars. And then there's Michael Jackson. Was that your first exposure to anything that grandiose?
I did meet Stevie Wonder beforehand, because my godmother had a son with Stevie Wonder. His name's Kwame. He's a beautiful, beautiful boy. And so we had met him when we were younger, like I was 5 years old.
But to a girl at 16, is Stevie Wonder carry the same, does it make the same impression on you as Michael Jackson at that age?
I was a Michael Jackson fan.
Yeah, right,
He
so
kind
I
of,
mean,
he
yeah,
inspired
right.
me to be a dancer and stuff like that. So
Right,
that was
right.
a way bigger deal. Yeah. I was like shaking. I didn't even know what to do. It's just like, just on nerve, losing your words.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
But
'cause
it
he's
turns
got a
out
powerful
that,
energy.
right. Does it turn out that that's almost like it set precedent for what was to follow in your journey?
Yep.
At that point, at 16 years old, were you able to perceive things the way you can describe them now?
No, not at all.
Just-
I mean, my mum was pretty tuned in her own way with her language and stuff like that. But like, follow your dreams, that's it. Just don't even think about anything else. So I grew up with a mum that is kind of how I am now. But I mean, I feel like I've got a bit more of a vocabulary around it, about being able to communicate, you know, different levels of consciousness and our connection to each other. But hers was just more of like a natural thing, just whatever, that's how she lived.
Right.
So I did grow up in an environment in like, in possibility, like anything's possible.
That's great.
Yeah, like do your dreams and the physical realm around, you know, society and stuff like that. It doesn't matter.
That's fantastic.
So that was kind of how that was the environment I was brought up in. But when I was younger, I had a lot of negativity. I felt depressed, like I didn't feel good enough, all that stuff.
Really?
As a being, and mum just felt like some positive beacon that I just didn't want to listen to. I don't believe you until I started doing my own path and my own choice of consciousness. Then I was like, this is what mum was talking about all those years.
There's so many labels put on these type of things. Is that just growing up?
Could be.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't
What do you think?
limit anything. Well, I feel like we naturally evolve anyway, but that I do believe that we have choice to be able to choose how fast we want to, you know, grow and shift and change and have experiences. But people can view it as a higher level of consciousness or a different level than other people. But I think we're just choosing the experience we want. And if you're attracted to having a spiritual experience, then you'll start attracting it. If you're attracted to having an addiction experience, then you'll attract that. If you're attracted to going out clubbing or just doing things that are whatever it would be,
Right.
sports, whatever whoever you are internally is the world that you attract.
But when you're so young and probably easily influenced at that time, because you know, are your goals even formed yet? I mean, you seem to have known what you wanted and had your eye on a particular prize, which was dancing and performing and stuff, right? So that could have been like a saving grace. So you could be a wayward, if you know, with an open field to just kind of explore all kinds of things, good and bad.
Yeah, well, I was kind of lucky because my mum used to look after homeless kids. Like, she was like a humanitarian, and she did like walks for the homeless people to raise awareness, and her dream was to rid the world of homelessness by building permaculture villages outside of every town and every city, and just pull all the homelessness onto the land and recalibrate them until they're prepared to go back into society. So that was who my mum was, and because I was around a lot of homeless people and homeless kids, like she has 7 kids in our 1-bedroom cabin on a mountaintop in the forest. So there was homeless kids sleeping in our living room around the fireplace, and there was a lot of them were on drugs, or they've got issues, and you know they're dealing with their stuff, and so I'd seen kind of the worst of drug addiction and stuff like that. So in my mind, like, why would I want to do that? That doesn't look like a nice way to live, you know what I mean? So me as my little conscious mind just made a choice not to do it.
Great.
And
Your mom sounds like a great lady.
Still don't. I mean, I've done ayahuasca. That's another story.
What was that? I hear all about this.
It was crazy.
That's the mind.
Powerful and just, I mean, you can call it a spiritual medicine, and then other people call it you're just doing drugs.
What do you call it?
I mean, I just look at it from my perspective,
Yeah.
and I call it a spiritual experience. I just look, nothing's true. I just look at things that what work for me. It works for me to call it. I had some medicine, and then I had this experience that felt like I was the universe.
really bad experiences with that, though. There's some horrific experiences with that, right?
Yeah.
And you go to some land, some other country, and you don't know what's going on, and you're like, oh.
Yeah, mine was scary. Half of it was beautiful, and then the other half was really scary. But I felt like I had a lot of like fear come up. Like we go through these human life experiences, but when I did that, I felt like I had soul lessons that I was tapping into, which is around my soul. Felt like it's so attached to being in the physical realm that it doesn't even want to be out of existence. Like a soul lesson. So I actually felt really lonely in the space of being in that space after a while. The first part kind of went through all these beautiful experiences, and I wanted to tap into my mum that had passed away, and I was singing because they sing all these like Peruvian chants and stuff. It was all organised and really looked after with some shamans and stuff like that. But I started singing because it kind of helps bring on the medicine and the experience. All about the vibration. And my mum's voice started coming out of my mouth, her singing voice.
Really?
And then I could hear her vibration in the whole room coming out of everyone's mouths. And my experience was just like, oh, hi, Mum. And and it was just her energy. But it didn't feel like there's me and that there's Mum. It was more like, I am Mum. I am my mother. Like I'm everything and everything's me. And she's a part of that whole. So it was more like, it was a little bit of a distinction so I could recognize her frequency. But it was just like, oh, she's me anyway. There's not even a separation.
Would you do it again?
Well, this is the thing. When I was in the state, I got a clear download that I don't need to do it again. That's what she said to me, because they call it a she. Ayahuasca, it's a female energy. But then at the end, when my ego mind comes into it, because I love searching and exploring, I'm like, well, the end was really kind of scary. So is there something wrong with me that it was scary for me? It didn't feel like a pleasant thing.
We need to do this again.
I think I need to tackle this again until it feels right. That's what your ego mind wants to do.
Yeah. It differentiate from, what is legitimate, like what's coming from your heart, what's coming from your mind, what's coming from your soul, what's true.
Well, this could all be made up. Well, everything we're talking about right now. This is just the experience how I choose to perceive life and my experiences. I love it. I just get lit up about it. It's just so much fun. So I'm not attached to whether anyone else has the same mindset as me, but in my distinction of how I'm creating my experience, I can feel the difference. Like I can feel when it's coming from, it's kind of like a fear-based mindset. And you can feel it in your mind, like you can tell when it's your brain talking rather than full freedom. So I feel like the feeling of freedom and excitement and higher vibration is when my higher self's talking. And then if it comes more from a fear base or a restricted energy, then it's either my mind or my emotions trying to protect my physical being from dying.
Feel safe by the thought that's your truth, and if you feel that there's fear somewhere in there, then it's not.
That just feels like it's human mind trying to...
Interference.
Yeah, it's just kind of getting in the way of what I want. And I can say I as my soul. But then I could also view that as my ego too.
Right.
And then in that space, I just kind of mix them both together. And I said, I love my ego. It wants what it wants.
Let me ask you this, because you had mentioned you post something about your true self, and I was thinking to myself about what you shared. And I'm thinking, how would I know if that's my true self? I mean, I've lied to myself so many times. I've misled myself so many times with the very best intentions, disappointed, whatever. So how do you, so you just answered it though, by thinking, but with the fear.
Mm-hmm. And that's one way.
Is there another way?
Yeah, the other way. We live our lives based on what society, what our mindset, our partners, relationships, kids, dynamic situations. We kind of live like that. So over the last 6 months, I've been practicing staying true to myself 150% with no sacrifice. And it's been so scary, and it's been a journey, but it's been the most amazing time of my life, because I'm really listening to myself 100% and not sacrificing. Now there's moments where I test the waters. If it doesn't feel 100%, but it feels, oh, this is interesting, and then I kind of step into it, and then I go in there and I go, oh yeah, it's not it, and then I just step out, kind of thing. But when I'm in there, I can feel my frequency dropping. When I'm in a situation that isn't fully in alignment with who I am, with my inner self, and the way that I distinguish that for myself, this is just my practice. So I just teach. I'm just teaching what I know. If it works for you, it works for you. If you like it, then you'll do it. I usually attract people that want to work with me and be coached. If they're the same vibration that I am, then they're coming to me because they already see that I can make a difference to them. So I've very rarely attracted people that want coaching that aren't in alignment with, they're just ready to go. And it's just easy because you're just attracting yourself. You're attracting your own vibration into your world. But so the way that I do it is I pay attention to my inner core, and this is where I feel it, and I feel a mass surge of excitement. And it feels really powerful, and that's when I know I'm in my truth. And since I've been on this journey, what I've been feeling is such an immense inner power in here, like expansive. It feels like so exciting. It feels like unconditional love and ultimate inner power, like soul power, not mind, ego, nothing to do with the physical world. It's all internal, and it's so powerful. And that's how I know that me teaching people how to connect to themselves in this way is my purpose, because I can feel the vibration, I can feel my frequency, and it feels like it's unstoppable. And sometimes it feels really scary because I can feel it's kind of like the exterior world's expanding, right? Mm-hmm. Like the universe expands, and then there's an inner universe that's expanding too. Like we create in the physical realm and build, we're in New York, all these huge skyscrapers. That's the external of our human self. Yeah. But a lot of us don't expand the opposite way. So the whole of reality is out of balance because we're just not balancing ourselves out internally. But I can feel my universe expanding internally in my body, and it feels and it feels so powerful, and it's a bit scary because my little human body, it feels overwhelming, and I allow it to guide me. Like part of me just wants to explode. Like I can feel it right now when I'm talking about it. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like I'll be an exploding star, a nebula.
Do you feed that?
Yeah.
Do you feed the feeling? How?
Follow it. That's my inner guidance. It's a strong inner compass, and I allow it to follow me. And I allow it to lead me. So when my brain comes in and does things, I literally kind of.
So you can do things like without even giving it a second thought. You just react to, like what I would call my gut instinct. Is that?
Yeah, that can be a way that you want to explain it. Yep, just another language. Your gut instinct, your intuition, your passion. It's all the same thing. Your highest excitement, your vibration, your inner calling.
Could somebody be on this conscious level and not know it? Could you be living in a conscious life and not even be aware of it?
Yeah. I meet people all the time and they go, wow, I guess I feel like I've kind of got a gift at explaining it. Some people are just being it and living it. And then I start talking about it, I go, oh, that's what I'm doing. I've met multiple people. Oh, you're kind of breaking down my life right now. I've never even discussed this with anyone. I've met multiple people that when I start communicating.
That's got to be empowering.
Huh?
That's
for them or for me?
For you, when you get that reinforces what you're doing. Do you get to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the main thing is when I get feedback. Yeah. But it's not. I'm getting positive feedback, but I am getting positive feedback. It's a vibrational feedback when more of me keep coming to me, and it's kind of like And this isn't like you kind of what you said before is you just react to an emotion. It's not that. It's kind of like I stay still internally and even physically until I get the inner call, and then that's when I take the action. Until then, I don't take any action. I kind of just be.
It is a level of like spiritual alignment though, is it not?
That's what I call it.
Yeah. So if I was to write it off to a gut instinct, I'm denying the spiritual level. Like, it's not like I'm trying to seek this thing. I'm just reacting to, beyond naive, it's almost ignorant, that approach.
What, the other way?
Well, the way I'm saying is to just, oh, that's my gut. My gut tells me to do this. So I'm living instinctively. The consciousness comes from a direct, deliberate effort to connect spiritually, that you're doing the right things for a definitive purpose.
Yeah. And it never leads you wrong. Like it's just literally like working out at the gym. It's been a practice for me, big time. I'm like, and it's funny because the way it's kind of like I've been my own guru for the last 6 months. I'm just in this weird, crazy practice in my own creation and own existence because I can. And it's the first time that I ever have. I'm usually with my twin sister. We usually create stuff together. And I'm sitting here doing this weird, random way of living just because I want to practice it. But it's been a call for me, and that's why I'm doing it. It's not like I'm going to make a decision and then do this.
How did you recognize that as a call for you? Like, was there a moment when you?
I had epiphanies and moments of, what if I just stopped my schedule right now and just followed that right there? That just got me so excited that I just have to do it. Now I had moments of that feeling and that thought, oh, is that where I'm supposed to go, or should I stick to my planned out schedule that I structured from the top of the week? I'm like, oh, okay, I see that. That's it. Following that call, and then that's kind of where it started.
I mean, with your experience with your career, does adrenaline play into that at all? I mean, like if you're playing in front of 100,000 people screaming and all eyes on you, there's going to be a tremendous euphoric feeling that comes along with that. But can that be paralleled spiritually by one of these experiences when you might be all by yourself on a beach or in the woods or wherever in your home, whatever?
Well, I think so. And I mean, some people can be in that position on stage with that mass adrenaline, and they might not even be connected to themselves. So it's not the same experience.
No, but you've had that experience. Most people don't. So that would, that's why I'm asking you that,
I feel like because I feel now. I used to use the words, I think this, I think that. Now I use the word I feel, everything's feel. That's just my choice. I've been trained in that mental side, so I have that as a physical foundation. But now I'm letting the other side lead. So what the practice is don't let your mind kick into play, which is starting to implement anything until you get the download.
I mean, you're deep into this. This is fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating. You're over here. You're over with your sister, and you're in Inglewood, and you're doing this dance. And the dance class is the dance style that you're training in. Is that what you call it, training? Or yeah. It's not you.
It's just not me.
Not enough.
Yeah, it wasn't me. I wanted to connect to more of the commercial industry at the time. And I'm like, I just want to dance with all, music videos and do all that kind of thing. So it was a really funny story with our ex-manager.
Right.
And we were living in North Hollywood at the time, and we had to drive all the way down to Inglewood. Now in LA with the traffic, that's just like suicide. It's hell.
I lived in North Hollywood. Oh my God.
Imagine having to go to North Hollywood and back, like at peak hour traffic, worked at 5-6 days a week. That was what we're doing. And we're driving when I didn't have my license yet, so my manager was driving in America. And we were on the way, and we're just like, why are we doing this? And we go, we don't know. And we literally called up the dance company that we got sponsored in. We said, yeah, we're not going to do this anymore. And they were like, okay. They just didn't even care. They just all free and lip.
Yeah, nice.
And we stopped off, and then we just had a funny moment randomly. We pulled over to like a, what do you call it, like a rug store where they had like fur rugs and stuff like that on the side of the road. And we just went in there and just started hanging out and talking to the shop owner and stuff and connecting with people. And it's kind of like that experience is kind of what I'm experiencing now, when you just break the monotony. Yeah. When you break out of that commitment that isn't even you anymore. And then all of a sudden life looks magic. And I have that experience over and over again if I'm going off track. And then as soon as I click back into alignment, the world's magical. When you're on your path, I'm like, everything looks magic. But then when you're off it starts feeling darker, and then you feel your frequency dropping, and you start becoming unhappy. Now I'm really fine-tuned with it now, so I can notice my frequency drop, and it feels really heavy. But in the past, you're just kind of like a robot, and you're just muscling through. And then you find joy and happiness and stuff. But now I'm just like, I can't even do this anymore. It's just not even me. I'm out of here.
Yeah.
And I'll just shift it and then bump myself back on track, because I still have moments because I test the waters. I'm like, or there could be a pull, but then the draw it might be a percentage of whatever the experience is, but it's not the whole percentage.
Yeah.
So you're not gonna, it's kind of like meeting someone, going out on a date, and you're like, oh, they're really good looking, and then you start talking to them, and then there's no depth or something, and what you want is depth.
It's time to find a rug store quick.
Yep. Yep, exactly. You're not going to continue down the path because it's not all of it. It's not the whole. So that's that's the work I do. If it's not the whole, then what is it? You've got one life to live.
You're going to sell yourself short by accepting less, right?
Yeah, if it's not a fuck yes, then it's a fuck no.
Ooh, baby,
You know
I
what
like
mean?
it. Yeah.
And that just becomes fun.
Yeah.
So then you just play that game now. I might shift this, I don't know. This is just where I'm at right now, but I'm enjoying it and it's really fun.
But the fear that you mentioned earlier is that's the foundation of it all, because the fear will prevent you from trusting that that feeling to tell you to jump, right?
Yep, that's the thing that just gets you, and it's because we live here and we don't live in that space and have that lead. Then we keep going, boop, like this is scary, boop, and then we jump straight up here, and then it talks you out of it.
Do you remember, like, as a little girl, were you this way, where you were like inquisitive, like open to this type of theory or stuff, or like adventure? Were you that type of child?
I mean, I feel like some of my upbringing, because my mum used to read us a lot of storybooks, and magic and kids running off into the forest and climbing up a tree, and there's a magical world up there. Yeah. So I love fantasy. Yeah. So I feel like my creative side and the magic that I was brought up in cultivates my belief system some power behind my belief system to cultivate my own reality. I mean, it could be learned. For me, I'm learning it, and I can give it away because I'm kind of learning how to do it. But some people are just born that way.
I was just going to ask you that. Do you think you were born with the gift?
No.
No?
Not at all. I felt like I was really negative and stuff growing up and depressed, and my mum was like this positive beacon of light.
Yeah,
that I didn't even want to listen to.
It just didn't even.
Yeah, I didn't agree. I mean, not that I didn't agree with it. I loved my mum to death. But the little kid, what are you talking about, Mum? But then I'd naturally just listen to her when I didn't. It was kind of my internal guide now. Mm-hmm. In the moments that I really wanted something and Mum believed it, I'll just shut my brain off and listen to Mum and allow her to be my kind of like my internal guide.
I think this consciousness is almost an art form unto itself.
Yeah, you could look at it as it's an art. Yeah,
it kind of is. Because there's so many possibilities there. How do you find your way to Prince?
Going back to the story when we were hanging out in the rug store.
This rug store, man.
If I knew the name, I could at least give some Asian lady.
The guy does deserve a little prop here, right?
It was a female. I think it was a female, like an Asian lady or whatever. I can't even plug them. But after, and goes back into alignment again. Now there's space to get back into alignment. Now I'm just reflecting on how we did it back then without being conscious. But we did make a choice not to go back to do that performing because it just wasn't me anymore. It actually was never me. It was just kind of like a vehicle to get into America. And so now that we recognized it, that's not the path, and we cut it off. Now there's space. So then in that space we just played energetically. And then other energy opens up. And the very next audition we had was for Prince. And we booked the job and worked with him for 10 years. So, like, alignment. Now, I didn't even want to work with Prince. That wasn't my dream. It was Michael Jackson. But that's where source comes in again, or spirit. And, your brain wants to do something. My brain, since I was 7, wanted to perform for Michael Jackson. But I'd shifted since that little kid's idea, and I was singing and doing and writing and doing all that kind of stuff, playing guitar. So the universe ends up opening up a parallel to Michael, which is Prince.
Yeah.
That supports females singing.
Right.
Michael Jackson didn't really do that in his world.
Right.
Prince always had female singers that sung and danced or did whatever. Now I wasn't surrendering then, it was just what was happening, I wasn't aware.
Right.
But now it's like, okay, you can set an intention and then surrender to source and then keep feeling the excitement and keep following it and then watch where it goes. And it will take you where you're supposed to be, and then you end up being in love with it because it's fully, that's your guide. Like I've turned down big things that would look really awesome in the physical realm.
Yeah.
Looking good and, you know, money and status and things like that.
Yeah.
The Lord looks good in that way. But but now I focus on the amount of time that I would spend out of alignment and not being at the peak of my high frequency. It's not worth it anymore.
The fact that you could just chuckle at that is wild. You know what I mean? Because most people be like, what? What? How do you know?
And it sounds like crazy talk because everyone wants
if you're not on that
security
realm, it is,
and
yes,
structure and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of living it now, so it's becoming my reality.
Well, it
Where
also
that's
emphasizes how valuable you know your space, your time, and being in that realm is to you.
Yeah, and it's funny because now I feel like I'm a beacon, and things just gravitate to the inner power core. It's I'm not reaching anymore. I'm not trying to, you know, get somewhere or achieve something. I'm just being in my power, and then things just happen, and it's always magical. But it's in alignment, and it's like, oh, that's it, okay.
Yeah, but in your course, in your journey, this part of your time with Prince, I mean, you're seeing life through a pair of eyes that are like, I mean, very few people get to see that kind of life, right? Yeah. How much grandiosity were you exposed to? I mean...
No, it's epic.
Right. Yeah. It was epic.
You're just living in the purple universe, and you watch how everything revolves and everything's height and the energy's full on, and it's a vortex that you're in. You're literally in a purple vortex. Right. Like we all have our own vortexes, and other people's are more expanded, and other people's are more contracted. And Prince's is so expanded that when you're in there, it's hard to get out, and you don't want to leave either. It's like an addiction.
Well, the reason I ask, because it fascinates me. I mean, this more than anything. When I was in LA, I used to work the door in this tiny little club called Bocayas.
No.
It's been closed for a long, long time anyway. But there was a bunch of, you know, notables that used to come in regularly, but it was a tiny little place. And the highest compliment I could give somebody from LA, of somebody who was recognizable and successful in the industry and everything, would be they're unaffected. I mean, I thought that was, how do you remain unaffected? And I'm talking about people that have not seen the kind of grandiosity that you're living, right? How did you stay grounded?
Well, I feel like it all comes down to my upbringing with my mum, because she's just a positive. She's like Julie Andrews, man. Singing The Sound of Music, that was the energy.
She sounds like a cool lady, man. Wow.
If you met her and everyone fell in love with her, she passed away 4 years ago.
Yeah, sorry.
But not really, because she's just sitting here with me right now.
Yeah, right.
And it's actually her birthday today.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday to you. Anyway, she just having that upbringing, I don't know, maybe it's my soul, because I've been around negative energy because of all the homeless kids. And them suffering and doing drugs and almost killing themselves and stuff like that, just by being unhappy. That I don't know. I just feel like I've had a really grounded energy, probably in my mum's love, because she was walking unconditional love energy, and she had everyone feel like that they were the only person that existed when she was with them, like they feel really special. And that's when you're exuding that unconditional love energy, then everyone around you, like at Mum's memorial, people were telling stories, and they were all saying the same story. I'm just like, yep, that's who she was for everyone. Nothing special.
Different details, same story.
Yeah, and I had a girlfriend that fell in love with her, of course, when she came to visit, and she flew over from America to come to the memorial, and I find her as being a comedian, not that it's her profession, but she's just really dry. She's a Puerto Rican Australian girl. Her name's Amy Wonka, shout out. Anyway, she looks around at the memorial and she goes, and my mum's nickname was Mo. She goes, I think Mo was cheating on me. with everyone else that she loved, and she thought she was the only one. I'm just laughing my ass off because that's just how it was.
That's amazing because like some people have those souls. They touch everyone that they come in contact with, right? And your mom was one of them.
Yeah, but I also learned a lot because now that I'm living a life of service, she died of heart issues, and it's kind of like she forgot to look after herself in the process. You know how people overcompensate, and she's all loving and it's beautiful and it helps so many people, and at the same time she skipped herself. I'm like, Mum, you just didn't love yourself. Like I used to take photos with her, and sometimes she'd feel uncomfortable. Like it was kind of like she didn't fully love herself, and she had to save everyone else, kind of thing, and then kind of skipped out on herself. And this is just my interpretation. I don't even know what her journey was, but you know, she gave so much to everyone else, and then created a lot of stress for herself, and then you know, ends up kicking the bucket pretty young. I'm just like, well, did she just not? Like maybe that was her purpose, just to go on overdrive with helping everyone else. But you know, if you skip yourself, and this is what I coach my clients, if you're being for other people and you skip yourself, that's not really being for everyone.
Yeah, you're part of everyone.
We're part of the whole. Yep. You can't just wipe off all the pawns off a chessboard and just leave one little pawn sitting there. What about that little person? That's us. We've got to love ourselves more. So my experience has been, the more I've stayed true to myself, I view that as loving myself. That's me loving myself, and people talk about selfish as if in the negative context. I just look at that as we need to love ourselves more and be more selfish. And when we're in that space, where our cups are overflowing with abundance of joy and love for ourselves, that reflects on everyone else, and you end up falling in love with everyone. And then you just overflowing all your service, and you just want to give to everyone because you're looked after. You've got the energy to give because you're loving yourself so much.
It's really more attractive too. I think you attract more people with your message that way. Yeah.
It just is. It's your reflection.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you think part of that is Australia itself? Because I've heard. I've never been to Australia, but I have a niece that's going there, I think in January for school. And she's so excited. And I think it's great for her too. But I've heard about, like, I think it might have been Michael Hutchins explaining fame and coming from Australia, and just says like, yeah, I'm just like I'm a guy that sings, like it's not like in America where you're a rock star or a pop idol or like all of this, again, grandiosity, or the way we build this up, and it's just
I feel like there's two sides to that coin coming from the Australian culture, because we're really laid back, like they say, we're like Canadians and stuff, and we're all nice and friendly and all that. And then, but then there is another side of the culture that we call tall poppy syndrome.
What is it?
Tall poppy syndrome.
Okay.
Where as a culture, if one person stands out high poppy outside of the rest of the poppies, then you're all exposed, and to us that's actually embarrassing.
I like that. I like that.
It can minimise, just depends on where you're coming from with it, right? Yeah. But it can minimise, like Australians love Americans because they're all just, I'm just gonna be me and fuck it kind of thing. That has that kind of boisterous, loud energy, and the Australian culture looks up to that culture in America.
Really?
Yeah. Because that's kind of, America has that kind of power, and it's built in, the land of the free and whatever, everything that the country's built on, that creates the context of the country and how Americans see themselves. It's all big and bigger and is better and all that kind of thing. But there's the flip side of that too. You can view it as powerful, like Trump, powerful. That's a powerful being.
Here we go.
And you can look at it as just a big ego trip, and where's the humble side too.
Right.
So it's kind of just like the balance of both. Australia feels like we're all friendly and humble, but we're kind of just chicken shits to stand out. And then America's all powerful to be themselves, and we can be ourselves separate from Britain. We're creating our own new country. And then on the balance of that is we're big ego trippers.
Yeah. The effects of business, money, power, and you're in the middle of that industry. So it takes a tremendous amount of, correct me if I'm wrong, consciousness just to stay grounded, because you got these elements, fighting their way in. The 7 deadly sins are fighting you like day in and day out, and you're just trying to live your peaceful, even keel.
Learning to, I'm building a strong, because this has all been in the last 6 months, that the power's really come into play, living this way. So I'm learning how to create more of a powerful bubble around myself. So I can continue staying true to myself, and then still, it's kind of like, and this is an awesome technique just for anyone, being yourself, and then being able to put a bubble around you, and then move that bubble into other realms and worlds that aren't you, so you can kind of be the bridge between whatever you're creating and whatever other people are creating, so then it's a co-creation.
And the bubble being like a protective field?
I mean, I don't like using the word protective because it feels like you're trying to protect yourself, but it's more like a...
How do you mean it?
Like a force field. Sounds more fun. Sounds like Star Wars.
Sounds great.
I'm making up a word.
Causes,
I'm making up a word that still feels like you're honouring yourself and not losing yourself, but you're not protecting yourself either. Like, I'm all with people. I'm so open. I'm sharing anything, and I'll talk to anyone. So it's not like I'm really open, but then I always also need to create like that little vortex around, what I'm cultivating to kind of, be in that little incubation.
How do you deal with negativity, like negative people?
Negativity's in the mind. So when I'm being negative, then everyone looks negative. Now, sometimes there could be negative people around, but the more that you're in your own positive vortex, the less you attract negativity.
Yeah, but can it find you whether you're attracting it or not at times?
This is a funny thing. There's lots of spiritual people out there, and like the context, or maybe I call it the old model, like religion and stuff like that, how they view that there's the devil and the angel, and then there's the balance and stuff like that. For some reason, I have this selective ignorance where I just don't even want to believe that there's anything negative. Now that's my projection, and sometimes it bites me in the ass because I view everyone as they're all positive. They're all just, yep, that's me, because that's my reflection of myself. I'm all open and honest, and if I don't know something about myself, that's the only time I'd lie, because I haven't discovered it yet. And everything else is just out on the table, so then I view everyone as positive. But in the past, when I had more of a negative mindset, people were just arseholes. I've always kind of been, it's probably having that positive beacon mum that did it. But even before this practice, I was just still really open. But I would just view things as negative. I was negative, so then everything else felt negative. But then once I started shifting my mindset and just looking at life as more positive, and there's nothing wrong with the planet and everything's just perfect and it is that equal balance, then I just kind of, I feel like I don't have balance in that perception, because then I don't look at anything as negative.
Yeah, well.
but that's a choice right now.
Okay, but we mentioned standing rock and something like, okay, now there's a cause, right? Yeah. That's negative. In my opinion, it's negative. I mean, what people are doing to defend it is positive, but... Yeah.
Well, I went up there to support. I got the call to go. Now, because I'm so straight about what I'm getting called and how it is, like it can look like that I went up there to support the cause. I got invited to go up there to document. I love documenting, so I'm following my truth.
I saw your piece. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
beautiful.
I just love, it's just fun.
Yeah.
So I'm going up there to have fun and document. And I support what's going on there too. Yeah. But if there was elements there, and I'm not downplaying that I'm not a giver, because I give through what I want to give. And but I'm also straight about, I'm not going to go up there going, I'm supporting Standing Rock and I'm just all of service. And, I'm not being that way, but I'm clear on the reasons why I went.
Yes,
I got invited up there. I had left a day job that I was working, so I'd been working at a production company. And now I was out of that. I'm like, I just want to go traveling. I love traveling. I love documenting. They're two passions inside of everything else that I'm doing. So I got to travel and I got to document. And then it just happens to be an awesome cause too. And I support it 150% because it's connected to the earth and the land and looking after what really matters, right? And now if it was just that, I may not have went. I might have, but it looked how it looked.
It wasn't the motive, right?
But it wasn't the full-on call. I'm hanging out in nature and I'm on like a little barnacles and stuff and doing yoga and documenting and editing, and then I'm hanging out with all, you know, the elders and talking to them and listening, and they're teaching me what Sundance means and all their rituals and stuff. So it's just all of it. It's just awesome. And I was at the front line, and I was there documenting and watching people get arrested. But because maybe that's just not my calling inside of protest in that way, I'm just sitting there being kind of unconditional love space.
What was your takeaway from when you returned?
I just loved traveling and supporting movements and, you know, lifting the vibration of the planet. That was kind of what I took away from it.
Okay.
So I went up there again and helped build a dome the second time, and I had other reasons to go up there that time as well as support. It was both this time and traveling again. Right. Just awesome.
Well, the piece that you did had that beautiful music behind it too. That was nice. Did the music have any effect on you, the Indian music?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, it's like, nice. There was one that I heard, we actually went to a sweat lodge and they had a track playing in the car. That one was so like, this part of it actually felt a little bit scary because it's just so, they're so passionate and into that sound, and it's all loud, and it kind of started feeling all aggressive. I don't know, just making it up. But it's beautiful. Some of the rhythms and just, you know, their culture and their connection to the land, like me and my intuitiveness, their culture's just dipped in that real deep. So they have the experience of actually physically the earth and the grass, and it's all an extension of them, and it's all honouring them. And then if they're not honouring this exterior version of themselves, they're not honouring and protecting and looking after who they are internally on a spiritual level. So people that are just living in, I'm laying down a pipeline, and my investors and stuff, we're all going to make heaps of money. We're going to have numbers on a screen that doesn't even exist, so we can buy, you know, millions of cars and go travelling and feel like a powerful person.
And destroy the environment in the process.
Numbers that aren't even real, and you're just going to kill your planet. I don't even know. I just feel like that's just ignorance anyway. Not making them wrong either, but that is the that's the exterior side of, you know, of the planet, where they're just kind of, I kind of view corporations, and in that sense, they're like little babies, because they're connected to one side of who they are, and they're not connected to the other.
So when you see the world, I mean, that's what's running the world. Yeah. And you're coming from the polar opposite position.
I've been on that side though, so I get it. I don't even
judge it. You
can
get it, but
I can
isn't
see
it...
when I'm trying to survive and make money and look good and tour the world and perform with Prince and make sure my hair looks good. I was living that too. Yeah,
but now that you're where you are now, isn't that a little disturbing?
Not really, because I'm above that thought process. I just go, everyone's at where they're at. I have sympathy, and not even I have sympathy for you, I feel sorry for you. It's not that. I just have understanding. I was there. Well, if I judge that, then I'm judging myself. When I was just at where I was at, I didn't have other learnings and other paths that I was attracted to, like where I'm at now. I was just attracted to what I was attracted to because of my experiences. It's not, I don't view it as right or wrong. I had an awesome...
What you were doing, I mean, performing and presenting yourself in a certain way to an audience is a lot different than, you know, poisoning rivers and, you know, and ruining cultures. I mean...
But I could take it real deep and go, I have my money in Bank of America. Okay. I'm not pulling my money out, and that's a corporation that's supporting the pipeline. Yeah. If I would really wanted to be serious about my commitment to fixing the world, I'm doing it too. I'm already in it. I'm a part of it. I'm destroying the planet by having my money in Bank of America. And I'm not choosing to pull it out. It feels real inconvenient.
Okay.
I'm not sitting here being some martyr saying I'm perfect.
No, I totally respect that.
I'm owning where I'm at now. Right. I might get to a level where I'm just like, and it's kind of like the more evolved that we get, the more conscious we get and the more mindful we are, and then we can see that side.
Right.
But I believe we can shift this whole reality the more that we connect to loving ourselves fully, 100%. Because the more we get in touch with ourselves internally, in this core of unconditional love, and I'm still learning it. I love myself. I'm in a place of a lot of expanded love. I don't know what unconditional love looks like. It's a word still. But my wisdom goes, there's something there, and I'm exploring it and looking into it and diving in and getting myself uncomfortable, because I know that expansion is the next level. It's so free and it's 100% freedom. And when you're in that space, you're connected to everything. Now, the more the world connects to themselves internally and loves themselves 150% and becomes more still, and stillness is such a key. Because I was going through some shifts. This goes into the story about me and my sister, because we've been together forever. And now that I've been connected to my spiritual path and she's connecting to hers, for the first time separated us. It's like,
The first time.
Yeah, energetically separating.
How long ago?
And we've been going through the process for 2 years. We used to share Facebook accounts, emails, cars, phones. Everything was intertwined. It's like a couple, but the same. So the spiritual journey is I'm just moving through where I'm guided to, and it's been really freeing. I'm like, okay, it's time to shift this energy movement. There's always shifts. And,
you spoke about like the codependency of being a twin.
Yeah. Well, I believe that I have codependency with twin, born with another me. There's another body there from conception, and then I live like that for my whole life.
In other relationships too,
But then there's also relationships. Right. That's codependency too. Yeah. No, I'm not even making it wrong. It's just becoming aware of you're good with you, whether you have someone there or not. And then when you move into an actual loving relationship, you're so in love with yourself that you're so in love with them, and that there's no judgment, and you can just coexist in your own individual powers. Now, this is all theory. I haven't met my partner.
What a time for you to be going through all of this. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's like learning how to, I'm learning how to be by myself and be good with me, because having a twin, it's like being married for, years with someone and then they separate, but it's just actual sister. Now, look, we're all in each other's lives. I'm talking about just the experience. But she's always going to be there, and I'm always there. It's not even that dramatic.
Right.
But on a spirit, on the energy level, it's been like I felt like I was going through withdrawals a couple of weeks ago.
Would you say that you're just establishing your own personal identity?
Yeah.
For the first time?
Yep, in a way. Yeah. And I'm 36. Well, I feel like I've been in the process for 2 years. It's not like an instant thing. It's been a process, and it's been conscious as well. Like me and Nandy have had multiple conversations, and crying and things like that, and little bits of anger and stuff like that.
Is this like a mutual decision to kind of both take your own space?
Once I connected to my inner calling, it naturally started happening, and she felt a lot of who am I now? When it first started happening.
And is this something that you have to do individually, or do you do it individually and together, or?
Well, we come together and discuss, because we're in communication. We're not fighting, and we're not we're still living in the same house, although she's moving out soon. But we discuss it, and we're not like reactive or anything like that. I mean, we're reactive within our own bubbles, but we also own that it's our own individual journeys.
Is there sadness in that?
Yeah. There's heaps of sadness.
I don't want to sound naive, but I just,
Well, it feels like you're cutting off your right arm, in a way. But and I've cried and released a lot. Like that's kind of what I was saying about being still. Yeah. Since this process of learning how to I don't even know what the word is. Uncodependent. Am I making up something?
Yeah, probably, but
I love making up words that don't exist. Because it's all created anyway.
I think it might be a word.
Create my own dictionary. It's creating your own reality. Word creates world. Anyway, so I've deliberately just sat with it, I'm on the other side now. But like a week ago, and then a couple of weeks before that, I was literally just sitting with the pain. And that's so scary, and sitting with being alone, the feeling of being alone.
How are you with something like that?
I was crying, and there was a moment where, how people have anxiety attacks? Yeah. I've had maybe like 2, and it's like in big turmoil moments, and it feels like your whole body's just out of control. I felt like I had just labels, but I was kind of relating it to people coming off drugs, where you have hot and cold sweats, and you're just like, I had a moment that was like that. Yeah. And then I'm in the experience, and it's and I'm feeling inner pain and stuff like that, but but I have the consciousness of awareness that inside of that I'm so excited because I know on the other end I'm going to be so much more powerful and free to just be who I am without having any dependence on anything. So I'm in it, but I also have this external awareness, and my higher self, that's what I call it, or my higher consciousness is looking down and kind of laughing because I have a joking sense of humour. You know how you see the Dalai Lama and people talk, and they've always just laughing at the joke of life. They've just got this sense of humour that just laugh at it because it's hilarious. We're just in this funny reality. Like I have a comedian side of myself that I'm sitting there and I'm looking at myself and doing this, hot and cold sweats. I'm going through codependency withdrawals.
But it's almost like your higher self understands and knows you're going to make it.
Yeah.
But you're shaking like a leaf on the tree.
Yep. And I'm watching my body do it. And you're just going through it. But I'm aware enough to know that, this is the process. I could just get into action and just move through it. That could be just a different way, but I choose with the way that I operate now because I choose to sit and listen. I just sat with it.
That's really, listen, personally, I struggle with that type of stuff.
It's hard.
I used to be challenged with it at certain times in my life, and probably still should be at times, because to sit still with pain, like I want to run, I want to fight, I want to hit something, I want to do something. I just don't want to sit with it. That's the last thing I would ever choose to do. And to do that, that really takes what it takes.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's really hard. And because you're sitting in pain. It's like you're cutting your arm off. It's like you got a saw and you're going, this is my choice.
Yeah.
But you got to be, it's like living a life of being so brave.
But I think you're gonna run into that pain at some point. So we run away from it and we fight it, whatever we do, we resist it. But it's gonna be there. You're not gonna run away from it forever.
If anything, it's consistently under the surface.
Even
and
that's
that's why we live as like robots.
Yes.
Because you're just sitting with it. And we do things like, people have whatever their vices are that they go into, or like overeating.
Excuses.
Or my vice is watching Netflix. I get so hooked on that thing. So I know when I'm not in alignment because I'm watching Netflix. Now look,
not a bad advice.
In that moment, I watched Netflix and I still sat with it.
Yeah.
And I showed, and then my other vice is being in action. I'll create something to do.
Just to avoid.
Keeping busy.
Yeah. And really,
calling people.
But that's so easy
hard.
to rationalize too. Like, I'm going to use this energy now to be productive.
Yeah.
That would be
productive into what?
No, I just don't want to deal. That's all it is. And then that's why I was thinking before when you were saying it. What do I have a hard time with what is my truth personally, because I'm so full of shit. I could be telling myself. I don't even believe, you do. I understand what you're saying now with the fear. That was a huge help for me personally, just having it put that way, because that could be the defining moment, in my perception of that, that can make all the difference in the world. Because I would always think, well, I'm telling myself this, I'm telling myf that. I believe it. So I think, I think I'm doing.
You're telling yourself to
I
avoid
think I'm doing this great.
You.
Yeah. So even when you just said before about Standing Rock, the fact that you were honest about your description of why you were there and whatever, that's brilliant.
Yeah, but I believe that's my gift to the planet. No one can be that straight, and it's coming up more for me too, because I'm starting to notice even more untruths.
Yeah, well, how many people?
Because I'm just sitting here in my truth, and then everything else just looks like lies.
I think anybody up there doing it is doing the service, because I think many people, when it comes to these big things, which we need a lot of people, we need the support and everything, but a lot of that is self-serving too. I want to be part of it. I want to say there's that ego involved in that too. Yeah. So what you did is just as valuable as somebody that went up there and did whatever they did. Yeah. It's all on the same,
I believe
contribution
as long
level.
as you're in your purpose.
Yes, and clear about it.
Yeah, and clear, meaning authentic about it. Like there's some people, like I've been to other rides and stuff.
Yes.
This is just hilarious. I think it was what's that group that Anonymous? That anonymous group. I went to an anonymous group in LA, and I was just watching and stuff because I'm still interested in positive change. Yeah. And so I just went to this meeting, and the main guy's there. He's like, I'm doing this thing, and I've been this, and he starts telling his story, and he goes, and I grew up and my dad's in politics and blah, 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 and da, da, da. And I'm sitting there going, all I can see is an angry little kid that his dad never saw him. Yeah. Like that I could feel the truth behind his actual actions to even be a part of that movement. I'm like, that's not it. You're not off. It's not off. You're not freely being in your purpose, like alive in it.
Yeah.
Now I reflect on myself. I'm like, is my purpose a cover up too? Is there some inauthenticity that I don't see?
Well, you know what? You just cleared that up. You just put it out there.
There could be still. I haven't seen it yet. Inside of my purpose, there could always be an inauthentic drive underneath.
I guess. Yeah.
Am I trying to fix things? I don't know. But all I know is I get excited about it, and I don't feel like I make things wrong that aren't the way that I'm working. And it's like I just love doing what I'm doing. I love it. I love this conversation. I love talking about it. I love sharing it with people. I love talking. I love shifting. I love watching transformation. If anything, I'm just a transformation addict. It all could be just bullshit. I don't know. I could die and I'm just nothing. I was talking to... see, you can't be attached to it either.
For that.
Yep. Anyone want me to coach you in some bullshit? Here I am. It's really fun. Jump on the bandwagon. It's hilarious.
No, you've mentioned about a purposeful life and what the ultimate purpose is, right? So it's not all bullshit.
Well, it's all my experience. It's how I get to experience myself in this existence, and that's magical. Like that sense of knowing all of this work is worth it just for that stillness and that belief that just like nothing can touch me. Money doesn't make a difference. That's usually the biggest winner of pulling us out of ourselves.
Yes.
Money, something to get money, and that's I don't even feel it's not greed. It's fear. It's scared that you're not going to be able to live if you don't have those numbers in your bank account. That's all it is, because we're in that existence. We're not in a trading society where we just do what we love and do it for other people and we're all serving each other. We're doing things to get something that's not real, which separates us. That's literally what it's doing. But it's the fear of not having. Trust me, that comes up for me, that one. When I was sitting in my codependency withdrawals, I always love making fun of that. When I was sitting in that, my mind is going, what are you doing, mate? Get off your ass. You're being lazy. Get up and work. Go and make some money. That's all it's saying. It's not saying do things like go to the beach, relax, do things you love. My mind's not telling me that stuff. It's telling me you better move or you're going to run out of money and you're going to die. You're not going to be able to survive anymore and pay your bills.
So when your mind is talking to you that way, where do you get your nurturing from?
The wisdom to shut it off. Shut up. I'm not following that. I don't do that anymore. You can't control me. I'm going to do me. I'm going to do what this inner call is and trust. And it's the trust and the surrender in my belief or made up belief that has you have that inner power. Because then the things that you would naturally jump on because of fear, which usually takes you off your path, it can't even touch you. When I get the call to download a song, it's the same thing. It's exactly the same formula as before. If I feel mass excitement or the inner call that there's a song coming through, then I'll pick up the guitar and write it. And that's it. And I love sharing it.
And you just put it on social media. Do you think music is one thing that transcends time?
I know that music heals and it can transform people and help people. It can either have people just relate and feel comfortable in their own skin, and it can lift people's consciousness. This is the thing, I'm staying true to myself. And I don't limit myself either inside of listening to the call.
So it's more about I'm living my life and it's going to attract people or not.
It's going to attract, I'm going to get the call to do whatever it is I'm supposed to do when I'm supposed to do it. That's why my songs have been downloading. They're coming through. They're coming through. All right, here they come. I never wrote like this before. They're all authentic to the journey and transformation, and I haven't felt like they're even mine, kind of thing. They feel like they're for someone else. So
how would I define, if someone was to ask me, what is her purpose? How would I define your purpose? I'm going to say, based on this conversation, that your purpose is to listen to your voice and just live your life to the best of your ability.
That's what I'm doing. That's the doings of it. But my purpose is to assist others in connecting to their purpose while I'm connecting to mine. That's why I feel like when you're taking care of you, then you can take care of everyone else. Yeah. If I'm not taking care of me, then I can't take care of anyone else. Right. It's like the oxygen mask on your own face before the plane goes down. Can't help anyone. Right. So I'm helping myself by vicariously helping them.
What do you have going on musically?
I've just been downloading songs.
Right, but I mean, like, what is? Do you have subject matter that you're writing about? How do you get inspiration?
I'm writing about whatever comes through at the time. A lot of it has been my own learnings through this process too. I've written a song about Standing Rock that I wrote because I'm living in that vortex, and then that comes through. It's beautiful. It's just so awesome just to watch what comes through just based on my experiences.
Would you play the song about Standing Rock for us?
Sure.
Okay, let's do that. Okay, everybody, May's going to do her latest song, Stand Strong. Mm-hmm. It's all you.
This land, we walk this life together. No matter where we stand, we're underneath the same sun, but we don't have on earth. Because of us, she's dying, and we must try to look in our hearts. We will find another way and open up our eyes. We will see a better day, but we must stand strong, stronger than a mountain. Stand strong, together we are powerful. Stand strong, with our hearts so full of love. Stand strong, stronger than before. How did we get this far? When lost our true connection to that part of ourselves that knows we are all one, but we don't have to fear, 'cause we still have this moment, and we must try to look in our hearts. We will see a better day and open up our eyes. We will see a better day, but we must stand strong, stronger than a mountain. Stand strong, together we are powerful. Stand strong, with our hearts so full of love. Stand strong, stronger than before. Stand strong. Stand strong, stronger than a mountain. Stand strong, together we are powerful. Stand strong, with our hearts so full of love. Stand strong, stronger than before. Stand strong, stand strong, for I want to supply. Stand strong, for the trees that grow so high. Stand strong, for Mother Earth. Yeah, yeah. Stand strong for the trees that grow so high. Stand strong for our mother earth. Stand strong for the water supply. Yeah, yeah. Stand strong.
May is nice enough to do another song for us, and this song is called Flow.
Thank you.
We're all living in our fantasies, living life where we wanna be. Oh yeah. Get stuck in our realities, making life very limited. Oh yeah. You gotta free up the thoughts inside your mind. Drop in, let your soul be your guide. Wherever you go, 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 go with the flow. Forget what you know, no, 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 go with the flow. Lose all control. Go with the flow. Wherever you go, 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 go with the flow. Spend some time just to be with you. Take a moment just to love on you. Oh yeah. If you listen to the call in you, you can hear what it's telling you. Oh yeah. You gotta free up the thoughts inside your mind. Drop in, let your soul be your guide. Wherever you go, 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 go with the flow. Forget what you know, no, 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 go with the flow. Lose all control. Go with the flow. Wherever you go, 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 go with the flow. Just flow. Just flow. Just flow. Just flow. Just flow. Flow.
I can't thank you enough. I mean, eventually I'll even be able to pronounce the name properly. But what a fascinating girl, fascinating. And musical is beautiful, beautiful. I can't thank you enough for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
And we hope to have you back soon.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay, and how does anybody get in touch with you or follow you? Or
You can find me on Facebook. It's Facebook, Maya McClean, just search that. I think it's Maya.McClean too, because you can't just do the straight name anymore. And then I've got my website, and you can check me out on there if anyone wants any coaching or anything like that in what we've been talking about, finding your purpose and really connecting to that. I'd love to work with you. And you can hit me up through my website too. You can email me. It's mayamclean.net. I think I'm going to turn it to .com soon, but it's either mayamclean.net or mayamclean.com, depending on when this comes out. But yeah, you can find me there or on Instagram. I always post on Instagram and inspiring things and my journeys and sharing transformations so people can learn from, through my experience and just being of service that way. Right. And that's at Maya McClean, my Instagram handle.
And until then, you're just going to go with the flow.
Just going with the flow.
There you go. All right.
See what happens next.
Well, thanks again. I can't thank you enough. This was great.
Yeah, thanks.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Okay.